We've established that a distraction creates costs, one of them being disrespect. Attention is the key. In this session, we're going to focus on attention patterns and find out which one you should be in continually. So we have 5 attention patterns, way that people pay attention to you. I'm going to describe each one. The arrow represents a message that's being sent to you. As the listener, you are with that person, extended period of time, you go off for just a moment, but you return quickly. We call this the small departure. It's the most positive of the 5. In fact, it's the only positive. Why? Because you return. Number 2, person begins best intentions, but bam, they go out into space. Something has diverted their attention or their focus. Maybe a person enters the room and they start thinking about that person. Maybe there's a word or a phrase that's been spoken, and that deflects their focus and they start to think about something else. And they're out there for an extended period of time until all of a sudden they remember, hey, I'm with this person. They return, but most of the message is gone. This is a tangent pattern, and it's negative because there's a cost. While you're out, you're losing. Number 3, the person starts out, but then all of a sudden, they've been challenged by the speaker's message, and they take a departure off of the line of communication. Most likely, they're planning their rebuttal, their defense, so that when the person stops speaking, they can insert their own opinion. This is called the private argument. If we look at SEER, sense, interpret, evaluate, respond, the asterisk is memory, it's like skipping the step of interpret. It's sense, evaluate, try to respond, but you're only responding off of what your own opinion is. If you had only stayed with them to be able to get the full message, maybe your rebuttal wouldn't be as strong. This is, of course, a negative 2. Number 4 is the opposite of number 1, so yes, it's large departure. Lights are on, but nobody's home. This person thinks they can play the game of faking attention, but they're actually going out and they're missing most of the message. Definitely a negative. And number 5 looks like this. No, it's not death, it's sleep. And we kind of chuckle about this one, but how many times have you been in a meeting or a class when you looked around, you saw somebody in number 5? How many times have you been actually speaking with someone, maybe a family member, and they fall asleep on you? They're in number 5, and of course it's negative. When you recognize that you are in patterns 2, 3, 4, or 5, get back to number 1. Let's look at an example. A husband and wife are driving in their neighborhood, and the wife is sharing an important message with her husband, Al.
Toby was hoping that she would get like Florida and maybe, think of moving here. What would you think about that, about having her live with us for like a little while? Al?
Yeah.
Did you hear what I said? What were you thinking about?
I was just thinking about this kid that we worked out the other day.
Is there ever a time where I can get you to listen?
It's obvious that Al is in a negative attention pattern. Most likely 2 or 4, not 3, the private argument, because we didn't hear a response. Not 5, because he's still driving the car. Either a tangent or a large departure. What's the cost to Al in the relationship with his wife? Psychologist David Augsburger said, being listened to is so close to being loved that most people cannot tell the difference. Wake up, Al, before it's too late. I have prepared for you another listening aid which shows the 5 patterns and, of course, small departure being number 1. You can download it and carry it with you as a reminder. Now that you know the 5 patterns, your call for action is to stay in number 1, the small departure. It's a challenge. It will test you, but that's what listening leaders do. In our next session, we're going to focus on concentration.